Kentucky and Oregon, what can you say? Actually, I'm looking back on the last few months, and mostly, I'm kind of shocked by how much of this race was predicted in advance. Not on television, but on the nerdy left-wing election blogs that I read. There were people in January who were looking this far ahead and predicting the outcomes that we're seeing now. In January. How did they do that? Well, they realized that momentum would be weaker this year than it has been in the past, and states would actually vote the way that they really feel. They saw that late February had a string of really strong Obama states, and that the end of the process had some Clinton territory in it. This story that we are living was written on the internet months ago. And the moral is, there are two ways to follow the news closely. One is to watch a lot of television, where you will hear the same basic information repeated by different people, and you'll also hear bad information because TV shows will bring on someone who disagrees, even if their argument is very weak. Television feels like it always needs that counterpoint. Now, the other way to follow the news closely is to see what these self-employed democracy nerds are writing on their blogs, and that would leave you with a really different outlook on how all of this has taken place. For instance, television wants to know why Obama can't close the deal. The internet looked at the calendar and said, well, clearly he will do his best in February and he'll take a few hits toward the end. Television thought that every Clinton victory was a sign of her resurrection. The internet looked at the numbers and said, you know what, she's not winning by enough of a margin to even this out. And the last thing about broadcast news, this is more important now, is that they are biased in favor of climaxes as much as possible. Climaxes. So we had all these showdown primaries that were like mini climaxes that would together, like, come together and wave in this climax of a nomination that was really just a means to get to an even bigger sort of mountain of a climax where you would face a more formidable opponent named John McCain. Well, I am looking at John McCain, and I don't think he is more formidable than Hillary Clinton. If you asked anybody a year ago, or 2 years ago, or what have you, who is a harder politician to beat? In a vacuum, forget about partisanship, who's harder to beat, Hillary or McCain? Everyone would have said Hillary is harder to beat. Don't let the heat of the moment obscure that. Don't let the fact that McCain has the nomination sort of take you out of that fact. Obama is beating the stronger politician first. He's starting with the steak and moving on to the bread. That's a difficult narrative to sell if you're the mainstream news and you think like a boxing promoter and you need to sell the fight. That's not the story that you're going to go with because it doesn't help sell it. Nobody starts Mario Brothers by beating Bowser and then squashing the Koopas. But with Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama out-campaigned the most vaunted electoral machine in politics. He's polling even against McCain right now. But if he doesn't become somehow a worse campaigner, if he runs as smart and good a campaign in the next 6 months as he did in the last, he will win. He can lose, but he will have to do worse than he's done so far. So, in my head, he's about 60% likely to be our next president. Alright, what are we looking forward to? The next milestone is May 31st, when the DNC is expected to resolve Florida and Michigan's delegate counts for good. And the bottom line right now is that even if Hillary gets the results she wants, she will still be behind. Her best case scenario is a close second in pledged delegates. A couple days after the 31st, we will have a quick finish in June with Puerto Rico, South Dakota, and Montana wrapping up the season. I will keep stealing lots of great information from the blogs, but if you want to read them yourself, we got a few links in the sidebar.